Hi, I'm David Kapp. I'm the production manager for Arizona Theater Company. I'm here with Vicki Smith, the set designer for MA RAINEY'S Black Bottom. About 4 months ago, we began the process of designing MA RAINEY'S Black Bottom. Lou Bellamy is our director, and the director helps us to choose designers. There's a set designer, lighting designer, costume designer, and sound designer. They then work with the director to create everything that we do here on stage. So with Vicki, about 4 months ago, you sat down with Lou and you began talking about the play. What are some things you guys talked about?
Well, when we started, just to explain for people, this play takes place in 2 locations in the same building. One of them is a recording studio, which is mainly what you see up there. There's microphones and there's a recording booth. And then the lower level, which we're sitting on down here, is the band room where the band goes to practice. So the first thing that Lou talked to me about, and Lou knows these plays very well, he's directed them before, is he wanted a clear separation of levels, and in particular he wanted the recording booth area, which is that window up there, to be really high. And that's important symbolically. Those are the people who are in control. Basically, the white guys who own the studio are up there. And on the lower level, the band room, this is where the black band rehearses. And in the intermediate level, they come together mostly. So the main thing he stressed is we need that booth up there. Then the next decision we had, Lou always talks ground plan immediately because he's so familiar with these shows. And I asked him, did he want the 2 main rooms, the recording studio and the basement, side by side as the script specified and as the original Broadway production did like 30 years ago? Or did he want them front and back, which is another way to do it? And he said front and back. So what we have here is that that door over there is the entrance to the basement. And you can see the basement pipes and the bricks. So we just get a little section of the basement where the band's lockers are, and then the basement wraps around in front of the recording studio. I was glad he did this, and the advantage from Lou's point of view is that when you're going back and forth between the locations, the actors can play the whole width of the stage. So when they're in the basement, they can play all the way across this 4 stage. When they're in the recording studio, they can play like 3/4 of the way across. So from the audience point of view, you're never looking over a dead space for a long period of time. There's not one area of the stage which is dark and you're kind of looking across it. So it's just a more flexible space both for the actors and for the audience to see the show. Then we just looked at pictures in terms of another of the issues is, what is this building? This takes place in 1927. There weren't really formal recording studios. We know it takes place in kind of a low-rent area. The owners are basically interested in making money. They're not interested in art at all. So the question is, what are we looking at? And then we looked at some pictures in terms of just how junky. Is it an old warehouse? Is it... What I've kind of done here is thought of this as perhaps a meeting hall. It was maybe like a Masonic hall or something like that in the neighborhood. And across the street and out the door, you can see that there's a warehouse across the street. So it's not residential and it's not fancy. So those were the main things we talked about. Lou is generally, he's very explicit and he really knows what he wants in these initial meetings.
You know, one of the things also then is all the props, the furniture, the chairs. I know, Vicki, you do tons of research. I mean, is that something you love to do, is to find the challenge of a 1927's recording studio?
Yeah, I do, as a matter of fact. And there was a little bit around, not too much. But I did manage to find a few websites, mainly to get some ideas, first of all, for the microphones. That we know needs to look right, from 1927. These little platforms that the main singer performs on, they did seem to do that quite a bit in 1927. And then the warehouse is actually pretty much a real warehouse. It's in my neighborhood in Minneapolis that we took pictures of it. And it's shrunken, of course, but other than that, it's pretty much straight on a real warehouse. So yeah, I like the research part a lot. It's fun.
All right, well, thank you. This has been a little bit about Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and with set designer Vicki Smith. Thank you.